Welcome back. Today, we got an extra special treat for everybody. My guest today, this gentleman is a pro athlete. He's an adventure seeker. He's a content creator. He rode pro for Red Bull for over 20 years. He rode pro for GoPro for over 15 years. He's absolutely crushing it. He's not only that, he is a dad. He was at the forefront of free riding. He is a good man. My guest today, Aaron Chase.
Thank you, brother. Happy to be here. This is fun.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Super excited to get into it and talk about, you're the first professional athlete. Oh, no, excuse me. We had Connor on. So second professional athlete we've had on the show. But the first, and you guys are all, we've had elite, we've had some elite special athletes, like guys who are doing it. And, Connor Matthews we had on, and he's a professional fighter in the UFC. And then somebody who's, we're going to get into the story today, but somebody who's been biking and been doing free riding and started racing and
for over 2 decades.
For over 2 decades.
I have some stories.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. How's everything going today?
I'm in one piece. I can't complain. Just turned 45 the other day.
Dang, bro. You look at, I don't want to do this to the people because I hate like aging and doing this, but you look amazing. You don't look 45. That's what I'm saying. I hate saying because like, it's like, I don't want to tell people that like looking younger is better or like it's desirable. Like, but like you look great for 45 is what I should say. You look great. You just look great in general. Maybe not for 45. You just look great.
I'm still hanging in there.
Yeah, full head of hair, bro.
Check it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
just
sir.
Showing it off now. I used to wear a hat all the time. Now it's like no hat. I want to
let him know.
I'll let him know.
45 years old, still got it.
Dude,
you know?
I didn't do anything. It's just genetics, but
genetics is. I've been fighting the genetics for a while. I'm 33, and if I make it to 45. Oh baby, we'll be dancing. We'll be dancing all night if I make it to 45 with my hair.
I keep it as long as you can. I know that,
bro. I haven't worn it. I don't wear like before they made hats that could like the true flap rims that would like come over your hair a little bit. Like relatively new within like the last like 5 years, I'd say. I never wore a hat. Yeah. I didn't wear it because it would mat my hair down. I don't use bad gel. I've been taking care of this stuff since high school. All my brothers, my dad, they're bald. So
say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so, dude. Exactly. Fighting the battle.
Yeah.
No, man. So I you have a very unique story, and you got started and does that happen with a lot of people in your career that you guys get started very, very young?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when it comes to riding, somebody's like, what did you do to get into this spot? And you're like, I did nothing. I did the same thing every day since I was a kid until I'm now an adult, and now I'm getting paid to do it. Like it's a realization that you can make money and keep that whole career or make a career out of it. So I'll rewind you all the way back to the late 90s. I graduated high school in 97. And in 97, there was not a platform for pro athletes to go to. And there was no chain for me to look at and try to get to the point that I got to. There was just no blueprint for it. And so I just loved riding, and I just stuck with my passion. Well, my passion turned into me becoming like one of the fastest guys around New England. And there's a big race series from Mobile Speed Pass that was put together back in the day, like the toll booth company or whatever. So
okay.
So they put a bunch of money behind this series. So we did all of the local, ski mountains around New England and did this series, and it paid $550 every time, and I won like every one of them. So it was my summer job. And what really got me into racing at a level where I knew that I was exceptional, right? So out of high school, I got to go to this national race at Mount Snow in Vermont, and I go to sign up for expert, and it's full. And I'm like, oh, this is my race. Like, everyone's here. This is the most, this is the biggest competition I'm going to see all year, because it's a national race in Vermont. I came back out. My buddy's like, sign up for pro. So I went back in, signed up for pro. No one asked me boo. So I was in and practicing and racing with the pros. I qualified 10th and took out some big names and did really well. And one of my buddies from Cannondale saw that I had some serious potential because look at this kid, like out there taking names. And I got on board with Cannondale the next year, and Cannondale was my first sponsor and one of my oldest longtime sponsors. I was with them for 17 years.
Wow.
And got to do 6 pro model bikes and a total prototype full suspension bike. And man, I did a lot with that company and saw them through some big changes within the industry. But Cannondale in the day, like in the late 90s, was one of the craziest companies to be with because they were so on the front of innovation that I rode some bikes and I rode some of these prototype bikes that'll never get duplicated. I rode some real unique bikes in my day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I got to touch on the fact that you showed up to this event as an amateur. This is how you became a professional athlete. This is fucking incredible.
It was opportunity, kind
bro.
of.
100%. This is how it happens. This is an incredible origin story, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
is that you show up to Mount Snow, you say, oh, "Fuck, man, I'm expert. They're out for expert. This is my race. This is what I crush. This is how I'm going to get noticed. This is how I'm going to get." And then giddy up to that boy, to your buddy. Giddy up to your boy, giving you that little confidence. We all need that,
Yeah.
The guys who are exceptional, the ones that, we need, people to push us into push. Not saying that I'm exceptional, but I believe that I am exceptional at this, and at what I do. And so, you have to be able to do it. And so
that's my Messiah right there. That's my Messiah.
Giddy up. Jacob says I have a Messiah complex. It's a giddy up. So
too funny.
Yeah. So I that's amazing that you have these little pockets of confidence from people to push you and to go do and to have that to say, oh, I'm going to go and then to place 10th. Say, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here. Say, who the hell is this dude? Was that kind of what some of the pros were? Or did they kind of already know about you because the scene they had no idea?
No way.
Just said, who the fuck is this guy?
It was. I mean, again, this is '97, so you're talking about.
There's no social media.
How would anybody have known who I was? I was a local guy, and all of these guys are from California or the rest of the world, really. So these are like real professionals. So I'm sitting in the line waiting to kind of scoot up and do my run, and all these other, full factory racers are just squeezing by me. Like, I'm not waiting. Like, and now I'm like in there with my elbow. Like, wait, if I don't kind of nudge myself along in the line, I'm not even going to get to do my race run because there isn't a single file line to get in to do your race run. People are coming in from every angle. So it's a mass pile of people. Let's say there's got to be at least 40, 50 people up there.
That's what I was at. So there's 50 people who are signed up for the pro.
All waiting to get in and do their run. So it's not a single file line where it's like, oh, I'm next. It's everyone's coming in from every angle, and I might be able to spit on the start gate, but everyone's funneling in from every angle, and it's all newness.
Are you guys all racing at the same exact time? All 50 of you at the same time? Or is it like a trial run? How does that work?
It's a dual slalom race, so it's head-to-head, 2 people, and when it comes to qualifying, it's just basically you get a run on both courses, and it's timed, put together, and then your combined time puts you into a bracket, which then there's a seeding run, and then you and I, let's say I qualify first and you qualify last, we race first, and it tiers itself down so that the fastest 2 people, like if the first and the second qualifier should meet at the very end.
Yeah, like a tournament. It's pretty
brackets.
Cool. Brackets, exactly. Okay. So you were kind of figuring out in real time, like, holy shit, man, this is how I gotta fight for my little place,
to get to the start line and race.
Right, just to do that for the first qualification race you're talking about, not the second one, not when you actually placed.
Just to qualify, yeah, exactly.
Dude, they must have been like, in your name, we talked about this right before we got started, but your name, Aaron Chase, like it's an incredible name for biking.
Oh, thanks.
And so they were like, fuck, who's this Aaron Chase guy, coming out of nowhere? And that's probably why no one said boo to you when you went up and signed up. Like, you show, I'm Aaron Chase. They were like, oh, giddy up, Aaron's here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also in high school, so it's like, again, no one's going to know me. These are all grown-ups that are earning a living racing bikes.
Right. Oh, for sure, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why when I say it, was there any, could anybody sign up for pro? Or could you
I didn't know that, but nobody in registration checked me for any credentials, a license or anything like that. Meanwhile, after that, I had a pro license for 6 years. I raced pro for 6 years.
See, so that's what I'm saying. So you had to have your name maybe had something to do with that. Why they didn't question you, because they're like, this guy has to be a pro racer. His name's Aaron Chase.
Well, and he signed up, so what am I going to say? No, these are volunteers that probably, work in the cafeteria at Mount Snow, and they're just there doing something different.
Yeah, right? Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, I made it past the guards, made it into the big show, turned some heads, and this dude, Dave Cody, who graduated from my school years before, and I only knew him from the year before because he came to Career Day, and he's a graphics designer for Cannondale. So after that, he was like, dude, awesome, showing. Let me see what I can do, put together a little resume, and let's see if I can get you on this little grassroots team for next year. And that was the Cannondale Head Shock team, which that was, I was on that. I got onto that program, which got me a bike and a jersey and a helmet. I raced for them, did well, whatever. And then the next year, I get a letter in the mail. It's not the Head Shock team anymore. It's the Sobe Cannondale team. Sobe was the head sponsor of the team now, which was awesome. And you're getting paid $9,600 to race for us next year. And I was like, whoa, now we're talking. So I got that quarterly chunked up, and I went off to the races, and I was getting paid and everything else. And I was on a team fueled by Sobe.
Yeah, dude, the Sobe drinks, man.
Yeah, remember that?
Is Sobe still around?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
No, Sobe ripped, though. I love Sobe. I love the way the bottles looked. Somebody should corner that market. The bottle, the glass was, the shape of it. It was awesome.
So much about that. Like, those guys were huge, and I don't even think you can get a pina colada drink in a gas station. You can't get. There's like a carrot elixir, green tea. I guess that's a flavor that people still drink.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
But there's so many flavors that they don't
Sobe still exists, and they also sell apparel now. So you can get that little lizard on sweatshirts, hats, and all sorts of little beanies.
Oh, so they are still around. Okay, giddy up. Maybe they made a comeback because the people like us talking about. Yeah, where are they? They're not in the stores anymore.
I
don't control their distribution. I just know they exist.
Well, I know that Pepsi bought them, and there was like a dissolving of the core brand that really made the big splash.
Right. Now they're just selling to people who think Sobe's cool now. I'll grab a Sobe sweater.
Maybe, yeah. I haven't seen them in a
That's what I'm saying.
It's alcohol. That's what did it. They have decided that they are grown up and 21 years old now, and they sell alcoholic beverages as well.
Yeah, a lot of them are doing that because they're marketing
that's
to
what
us.
Saved. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, well, us millennials and little younger and older, but in that wheelhouse, we are nostalgia driven. So, if you can, Sunny D has an alcohol.
Yeah, Welch's grapefruit.
Welch's grapefruit did one. Hawaiian Punch did one.
Yeah, it's horrible.
They're just raiding our pot. Hey, look, man, in the land of opportunity, you're gonna find opportunists.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me,
it's all about the buck.
It's all about the buck. It's all about the buck. And tell me though about the prototypes.
Oh, okay. So the team that I was on was a grassroots cross country team mostly, and then the father team of this team was the Cannondale Volvo Cannondale team, and the Volvo Cannondale team had the two best guys. They had Cedric Gracia and Brian Lopes. And Brian Lopes is one of the greatest mountain bike racers of all time. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was a juggernaut, a beast, brash, cocky. Like, he was the man. So anyway, I was just kind of being able to see what the tip of the sword looks like for those guys on the Volvo team, but get the same bikes and everything that those guys would get, but also kind of be taken care of by my own mechanic and my own team in that SoBe team. So it was just a perfect kind of breeding ground for me to go from nobody to somebody. And that was 6 years of racing. And then once I kind of started getting my name out there and people knew me, they almost knew me more for the tricks that I would do on the course, like on a jump or whatever. Like, let's say I messed up, or let's say I'm way out in the front and I do a trick on one of the jumps. So it was my trickery and then my like parking lot antics, like riding backwards through the pits or jumping down these stairs or filming this or that with my buddy and making videos. So in 2003 was my last year. It was a fun year of racing, but it was just full of prototype issues, things that were slowing me down, some injuries and everything else. And racing is all about winning. And if you're not winning, then what are you doing? And I'm sitting there with all my race gear on, not winning. And I'm like, all right, maybe I should just do free ride. That's what people like watching me do anyway. People care more about that than they care about me racing. So I left my
SoBe.
Dude, I left
SoBe.
I left my mechanic and a team and like.
How long were you with them?
Solid
for
pay? Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
But when I left, I was able to keep Cannondale as a frame sponsor and then hand select all of my other sponsors. So now I made multiple times.
It's really cool that you were able to
with the team.
Oh, 100%. I love that you were able to keep Cannondale on. You know that they're still your main sponsor. That's a really cool thing.
It was really cool.
At least the cold, little pieces to change, but it wasn't completely different.
Well, I also had a signature bike with them.
Okay.
So they were like, "Oh, well, we're not going to let you go. And they're right down in Connecticut. Yep. So, and I've always grown up right here in New Hampshire. So, I continued on. I had 6 years of a signature bike with those guys, and Red Bull picked me up in 2004. So that was, and from SoBe, which at the moment was kind of a little bit weird going from one drink company to another. Just because you're associated with one brand for now 5 years on SoBe. It was like, hey, can we make this change and everything else? But they did. And I won the Red Bull District Ride. I won the Red Bull Bike Battle. And I was on Red Bull for 19 years up until 2 years ago. So
it's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time to be with one sponsor. That's pretty incredible.
But they're an amazing sponsor. Like from the time I signed on with those guys, I went right to Australia and did a 3-week trip across from the West Coast, from Perth to Adelaide, through the center of Australia.
I know that most of us associate the weather getting chilly with flu and cold season, but here at Dr. BeeWell, we call it bad sugar season. As Americans, we generally eat like shit. During this time of year, with the holiday and other related stresses, those horrible eating practices tend to get kicked into overdrive. We offer a solution in the form of full-spectrum RSO infused raw local honey because we shouldn't be walking around eating nerd rope all day. Why not let the bees handle the heavy lifting that your sweet tooth demands? I think it's fair to say that most people know how vital strength training is for long-term health and fitness, but find it hard knowing where to start. I'm here to say that also included me, Dr. Steve. You want to make sure you're doing exercises correctly, you don't want to get hurt, and you have no idea how to structure a workout program to get the best results. I've been there. In fact, this is where I found myself a few months ago. That's where On Target Fitness comes in. At On Target, every client gets their own custom strength program, tons of individual attention in their unique small group format, and the common sense nutrition and health coaching necessary to make a lasting lifestyle upgrade. As a new member of On Target, I'm not only seeing major changes in my body, but also my overall quality of life. In the past, I've struggled with using proper form. Well, let me tell you, whether it's Coach Joe or Coach Ryan, they've got you covered with technique. Even movement patterns as simple as walking have improved since I've started. When I was working out by myself without a program, I was often lost and lacked the motivation to challenge myself. Not at On Target. The energy and support in the group dynamic is truly game-changing. I have so much fun every time I work out. If you're ready for lasting change, don't hesitate to schedule a complimentary strategy session at www.ontargetfit.com. During this session, you'll learn a lot, make a plan, and only move forward if it's right for your budget, schedule, and goals. I met with Coach Katie, and she was awesome. So please, if you need that giddy up back in your life, get on over to ontargetfit.com and schedule your session today. They just pay for everything?
Well, they set up everything because it's for a movie that they sponsor. So it was for Neural Disorder 4. And I was just on the trip because I'm a new Red Bull athlete. They're like, slide you right in there.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks of basically just cross-countrying in a different country.
Yeah, just amazing experience for what, a 20...
Yeah, 24.
22, 24 years old, man. Like, just going across Australia for 3 weeks and just getting to experience it and getting to ride your bike.
Oh, yeah. So can't beat it. But now I'm in a different arena. I'm not racing. I'm competing against the other guys that are on the trip with me, because you want to be the MVP of the trip, you know. So
different type of competition,
kind of, and it's like an unspoken one.
That's what I'm saying. They're not. It's not outwardly telling you all to compete. You guys are doing it. You guys, because that's just the nature. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
I want to outdo this guy. I want, you're also fighting now, like for, you guys are being filmed. So it's like, okay, this is how I'm going to get more clout. This is how, right? Is that what you're saying?
For sure.
Okay.
And my riding style was a little bit more technical, creative, and closer to the ground. So I did not need like a crazy setup. I didn't need a 50-foot jump to do what I do. So most of the guys were following me when it comes to clips, because I'm stacking them up. I can get a clip in the parking lot. I can get a clip on a picnic table. I can get a clip on the mountain. So like I'm very versatile, and so it was. It felt good to be in that arena where I was leading the charge.
Yeah, man, that's cool, and like to come on to that and to be able to be the one who, you didn't know this is your first time going out there, right? Had some of these people already probably been riding for Red Bull.
Yeah.
So you kind of came and said, hey guys, I'm here. I'm here. Same thing. It's kind of like your story, right? Like, hey guys, I'm here. I've arrived. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to be a free rider, and it's cool that you did the close to the ground stuff too, because I bet as a guy who doesn't have these skills, or like if I'm watching something, it's like I can't make a 50-foot jump, and I'm likely not going to do a 50-foot jump. But that stuff that Aaron's doing, that's pretty cool. Maybe I could get it to a point where I could, get my bike up and do a jump and get up onto, one part of the picnic table. Like it's almost like people could see see themselves in it.
Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that. There is a little bit of that, but I also did stuff like I on that trip I hand planted over a tree. Like a tree branch,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of your videos, and I've seen a lot of your pictures, and I'm not downselling it at all, because it's not any less crazy. Like the stuff, it's I'm just saying people might be more apt to be like, oh, maybe I could, eventually, try to do something like that, opposed to building a 50-foot jump or something, just because there's a picnic table over there. But yeah, man, I saw you literally like. There's one picture where there was this jump that you went off, and this thing must have been like at least probably 20 feet in the air. Maybe a little less, maybe 15. But you got the front of your mountain bike to it's a mountain bike, so I thought only BMX guys were doing this. And you went up this jump, and then you put your it was like a little cabin, and you put your front of your you put the front of your bike right there, and you just stopped. I think we have a picture of it. I think, that's you literally dude, you got up there,
stalled on
it, exactly. You stalled on it, and I'm like, dude, how is that? How did you do that with balance? How are you able to do that? I think it's the one over from that, Jacob.
Yeah, that's in Turkey right there.
That's a little Turkey
what
giddy
a
up
spot.
Yeah, right there, dude. Look at that, man. It was the back. It was the back. It wasn't the front, but there was the back wheel. But still, man, that's absolutely wild.
Dude, so much fun. So we built that cabin because they wanted a collaboration with bikes and skis and snowboards. And yeah, that was a cold day in New Jersey right there. With my buddy Mislav right there. He's a Croatian guy sitting on his bike, and then my other buddy Adam kind of sitting there watching, and we had a burn barrel going there.
Yeah.
There's just so many different stories that come off of every picture like that. But this was at Mountain Creek in New Jersey, northern New Jersey. I lived in northern New Jersey for over 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this about the time? Are we in the time period that you're talking about with this picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
This was after my injury, so I've got like hard hard lines in my career, and this is one of them.
And that's right. So you went to Australia. The injury is what was part of the transition too, right? Like, so we skipped over that.
No, the injury.
So you went to ride for Red Bull in Australia first.
Yeah.
You were still racing at that point.
No, in 2003 was my last year. In 2004, I signed on with Red Bull, went to Australia, went all over the place, and started filming more movies.
This was in 2003.
Yeah, and started filming more movies and free ride events. And in 2007 is when I broke my back. Okay. And this is probably 2010.
Okay. So we'll get to this, but like I'm saying, the pictures that we have of you, man, I think that people look at a 50-foot jump and they're like, no way, I could never build that or even come close to that. But that jump right there, me and my buddies, we have built one of those, back in our day. So it's like, there's no way any of us were getting that high or doing anything like a stall or anything like that afterwards. But few of us, went off of it, at least, and went off the other side. It was like a little bit more rounded.
No, that's a stall on the edge and then right back into that quarter pipe.
Oh, cool, dude.
And you're riding from snow onto a wooden ramp, stalling, and then back onto a wooden ramp back into the snow. So there's a little bit of snow on your tires, and your tires are a little wet. And and it's cold. So
yeah, that's the thing, man.
But that's the same move right there. This one's a lot easier. This is grippy rock. It's nice and dry, nice and warm. But this is in Cappadocia, Turkey, which is one of the coolest places. It's all sandstone, and the locals were carving houses out of the center of the sandstone spires and living in them. And the government kicked them all out in the 50s because you can't be taken serious if most of your population lives in tunnels and caves and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
now these guys chunk out sandstone blocks and build houses out of sandstone blocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would have been cooler to live in the caves.
It's way cooler. All the caves are there.
They're still all there?
They're all there.
Yeah. This is Turkey.
Some of them have like collapsed, like maybe like one of the face walls snaps off or something like that, only because they're that old. But they'll be there forever.
Dude, that's so cool that you're able to do that. And like, how about those forearms? You kidding me? Your forearms are so shredded. Of course, you probably have to be. Like those are the biggest muscles. That maybe your legs too, obviously, but like. You must know like every single muscle that's on the forearm.
You're doing those reverse curls,
Yeah, the reverse curls. Okay, giddy up. Now, did you ever work out to make it, or were you just biking was biking the work? Because I know how much of a workout that is, or were you working out to try to make you a better biker too?
Racing, I was working out.
Yeah.
Free ride, I wasn't.
Right.
Not really. Maybe in the off season, definitely to get myself back off of injuries and stay on top of everything. But I wasn't ever looking to, stack on some muscle to help me out. I kind of wish I did that a little bit more. But once I went from racing pro to being a free rider, I really started embracing that lifestyle more and really just tried to have more fun with it all and ride as much as I could and, just be in it. So if I was a fighter, I was sparring more than I was in the gym.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. And that's a sport that I would prefer to play, or be a part of, because you're just having fun, man. You're out there doing it. You're being so present. And that you had that experience, yeah. You had you were present to where you were, and you were just having so much fun and doing it. You mentioned to me, once that you didn't, like a lot of people, they wouldn't make it 20 years like you did, but there was probably some people who had the same opportunity as you, but then they partied too much maybe, or they let the lifestyle that could come from it. If you're you're a young kid, you're traveling all over the place, things are a lot cheaper, things that you're your own boss. Yeah. So there probably was people that got lost in it.
It's very easy because every day is your day, and every year you've got more companies that want to sign on with you. So the feeling that this is going to last forever is very relevant. Like that is a big component of it. It feels like it's going to last forever. It really does. And it lasted almost forever for me. I mean, long time.
Yeah, it was
40,
a full career for
Yeah.
you. You know, full career. And most professional athletes never see a 20-year career. You know, maybe a few, very few and far between. But there's just so much temptation and stuff out there as a young person. You know, it's like when you have a skill, you know, just being that focused in on it and going in on it. You know, I've spoken to some musicians soon who have toured and done that, and the ones who are successful are the ones who go do it for the music. You know, they're there for the music, and the music is their drug. The music is their fun. You know, and that's like the same was like riding for you, you know, and like getting that experience, right? Like doing that every day. That's why would I do anything different? Like, okay, I'm not going to stay up too late tonight because we got to go build, we got to be in the, in the foothills of Turkey tomorrow and doing jumps on caves.
Yeah.
So that was the focus.
And it keeps you in one piece longer, too, if you kind of take it a little bit more serious. But I had enough kind of work ethic in me that I knew that I didn't want to be roofing. I didn't want to be doing construction. I just wanted to be on my bike, and I wanted to make sure that lasted. So from the time that I got that first contract where I was getting paid, that $9,600, excuse me. Then after that, I was like, wow, I gotta keep this going, And then you start befriending like-minded riders and start talking about the business and everything else. And then you start realizing like, we've got something special here. We should capitalize on the incentives that you make sure that you're getting all your incentives back. Make sure that if I can't get more money in a negotiation, I can get more product. If I can't get that, I can be part of their promotions. Like, give me an ad. Like, you got to do an ad with me then, a print ad or whatever. There's a million different ways to slice it, but if I can get an extra 2 bikes, a print ad, and snowboard gear, then, it's just adds to the overall nut of what you're making. But you have to kind of scrape and reach for anything that you can in a sponsorship kind of arena like this, because there is some product falling off of the truck, and it's, you got to catch that stuff because it can help offset your credit card bills at the end of the season and stuff like that, because all you're doing is moving, traveling, and spending money. So I was lucky enough with Cannondale to get a travel budget. And so I think the first travel budget I got was $20,000 for the year. So I could pick and choose. I could go to California right now while it's snowing out. I'm out of here. I'm going to California to ride for a week. Yeah. Stay with my buddy. That comes out of the kitty and everything else. And then once I get into the fall and I'm far past the $20,000, they just kept paying for it anyway. Kept me on the road. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it's such a good. I mean, of course, you were taking care of them too.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. They are still a corporation, but they seem like one of the good ones. They seem like they take care of their people, and that's like all we can. That's all we can really ask for is like, hey, if you're showing up to do this job and you're doing good for me, I'm going to continuously reward you. And that looks like, hey, we agreed on $20,000. But you're out there fucking crushing it, and I see it. So go do your thing.
Yeah, just kept getting paid. So
yeah, man. For 20, how long? 17 years you with Cannondale?
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's amazing. And so did that like always? So the travel budget did anyone else ever come and say okay? Because the other ones were like more specific trips, right? Like Red Bull and GoPro would like send you on specific trips, opposed to like we want you to go out here, it's paid for, go do this, opposed to like being a free. Here's the travel budget. That's amazing that Cannondale gave that to you. Wow.
There's a lot of overlaps with sponsorship stuff. So you can make it happen with your travel budget if you have one, and go and stay at your friend's house for a week and ride in California while it's snowing out back here in New Hampshire. Like, you can make that happen. And then there's other ones where you go on trips and everything's covered, paid for by a different sponsor. But so, for instance, GoPro, right? Like, now I've got GoPros. You got them around the studio here, and I can attach them on my helmet looking back at me and get a shot of me riding. I can attach them on my bike and frame it out so I can see the Cannondale logo or something like that in the shot. And I was always doing that while I was shooting for larger productions and then putting it all on an SD card and firing it off to those guys. So not only was I doing the job that I needed to do, I was giving production crews select shots that they were like, oh, I need that. And it's all like a locked off shot of my derailleur shifting through the gears. They're going to use it. And it's Shimano, so it's working for me. So that was always a tool that I used in sponsorship negotiation, is that I can control what the camera's looking at, and I can make sure that your product gets in the videos that I'm doing.
Yeah, and now like you would send off that stuff to them so that they could use it, but you'd also produce it for yourself in your video. Like, would you do your edit? Would you edit your own videos?
Yeah. So it started out shooting for other people, and they were doing the edits, and they were putting the music in, and they were making the VHSs or DVDs, and they were making the money. I mean, it makes sense. And then I'm like, I want to make my own video. Like, I want to learn how to edit. So a guy that I met who was doing his own video series, I did 2 of his movies called Chain Reaction, and I was getting a lot, like, that was a big video series around here too. And so everybody saw it, everybody was stoked on it, and I wanted to edit my own section. So the 3rd year came around that I was shooting with this guy, Don Hampton, and he showed me how to edit. So he's like, here's, the basics, get it all laid down in the order you want or whatever, and then we'll polish it up later, and I'll tune up this, that, and the other thing. So he really helped me get into it. And then I produced with Don Hampton of DH Productions, produced 3 of my own DVDs.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was, all my way and my music and everything else. And they were distributed internationally through Video Action Sports. So they got all over the world.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's amazing. Like, that's what I'm always trying to tell people. It's a huge tenet of this show is the only way is through. And like, you had this thing, you say, hey, I want to figure this out, but like, for me to figure this out, I got to learn how to edit. I got to learn, how music flows in production. I need to learn about production. I need to learn about post-production, all these things. And I bet it was challenging, but definitely wasn't easy. You had to expose yourself to more stuff, right? And but it's when you go through it, and then you have fun going through it, and then the end product, you're like, holy shit, man, look at what I'm capable of.
I mean, it makes sense though too, because you're performing the moves and everything else, and you kind of want your section to come out with your style, and a couple slams at the very beginning to the song, and then the song settles in, and then the riding settles in, and the crescendo at the end, like whatever, like however you want to build your section, depending on what you have for footage, and to make sure that your select clips don't get overseen and all that. It's easy to want to jump into it, but when it comes down to it, the editor should be bipartisan and should be a part of the team, but on its own. They do the best jobs when an editor just does it, because I'll go on a trip to Peru and my edit is 8 minutes long, and I give all the same footage to the GoPro editor. It's 3 minutes long, and it's way better than mine. And I'm like, I couldn't part ways with half of those clips, but they can. And, it's whatever.
I relate, man.
Yeah,
it resonates big time. At first, when I started doing this, I would go through and I was picking out the clips that would go through, and it would take me like 4 times the length of the episode to rewatch it. I don't have 4 times the length of the episodes. I do a lot of episodes, so that's, if we have an hour and a half episode, that's 6 hours that I would need to put in that I was doing to pull these clips, and then I'd have all these clips and all the ones and I'm like, this isn't right. I need somebody else to go through this for me and to help me pick these out and tell me which ones are good and to help me be more effective.
Editing really gave me more of an understanding of what the entire project looks like and how it all gets laid out and how it all works and gets organized. So it made me a better filmer. It made me a better rider. It made me think of the whole project through and not just like the stunt that I was doing. I really enjoy that process of putting the whole thing together. It takes a lot of time, but I really liked doing that whole process. And then in 2007, I got on board with GoPro, which was a pretty rude kind of first generation camera that they had. Didn't have a wide angle lens. I think it took like 2 AAA batteries, which were always dead. So it was a cool camera to have. I sprinkled it in on some shots. I brought it out as like a little party camera and stuff like that. And then as it got better and I grew with that company, I mean, I was their first mountain bike athlete. Whew. And then, grown with that company through all the big moves that they had for the last, decade or more.
So you feel like incredible. You feel even more with GoPro than you do with Red Bull. You feel like your ride style and who you became as a professional athlete had more in line with the GoPro and their rise, just because of the timing of it, or
it's not one or the other, because I mean Red Bull supported me in so many ways, basically getting me to all the best spots or into the best videos or through.
It's because it was the camera. That's why it was, is because it was a camera, and that's how you were able to grow with it?
Well, with GoPro, it was something that I was able to film myself doing. So I was my own content creator, my own director, and it was me who's the star. So I could do everything as a one-man team. I even had a series that I did with Red Bull called Chasing Trail, where I was mic'd up to the chesty camera on my chest, and that was a steady cam like gimbal on my chest. Then I had a wand off of my helmet that looked back at my face so you could watch me speak, and I was vocal as I was riding down through the trails. And then the third camera was an autonomous drone operated off of like a dial, like a remote on your arm. So you tell the drone where to be, and then you drop in and ride. So I'm looking forward, I'm looking back at me, and I've got the bird's eye view. So, and that's just me producing my own video of me riding like a fantastic ridge line or a wild jump line or something that is a tight little snackable piece. So I can put
a lot of solo time. Or you usually have somebody with you?
Usually you ride with somebody else, because now if you can ride with somebody else, they've got a camera looking forward that is another shot of you riding, or the lead rider, and then they also have a camera looking at them. And when you're talking, you're not talking to yourself. I'm saying, whoa, watch out, that was crazy, and the guy's like, I'm riding over it right now, And it's just more of a playful kind of...
you guys are doing, like death-defying stunts too. It's good to probably have 2 people there. If someone gets hurt or something.
Oh, yeah. No, there's always people
getting
around.
Crashed.
Yeah, I don't ever film anything high level by myself.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would imagine. I would getting to those points where it's like, we're doing a lot, and like we got to talk about the injury too. Like, you had a serious injury. Like, when you'd signed with GoPro in 2007, and that's the same year the injury took place, right? In 2007. Because this was at that point you were at like the pinnacle of it. You were racing in front of like 50,000 people, doing competitions in front of 50,000 people, and then you got this accident. Yeah.
So the year before, in 2006, I won the biggest contest in Nuremberg, Germany, in front of 50,000 people. And it was the biggest purse. It was awesome. It was the highlight of my career, hands down, and my competition career. And then I went into a European 5-stop, 5 cities in 5 different countries in Europe, 5 weeks in a row, this series. And the following year. So I'm like, man, I'm going to make some money this summer. Like, this is going to be incredible. Make some euros. So show up to the first event in Newcastle, England, and it's kind of like a North Shore free ride event. So it had like skinnies and like exposed kind of ladder bridges and stuff like that into jumps. So it's like skinny high wire stuff.
What is that? What does that North Shore mean? Like when you say that, like North Shore.
So the North Shore, if you want to put that in quotes as a North Shore style, that's using like the fallen trees as bridges so that you can get over all the other crap in the forest. Okay. So it's using these logs as bridges to get your trail to where it needs to keep going. So they would put you would put boards across all of them and make them kind of like a 2 foot wide like little ladder bridge. Mm-hmm. So Newcastle, England, I'm riding across this skinny. My back tire slips off. It kind of throws me in this weird kind of way. And I fall backwards into a brick wall and then land on my butt on the ground. So I just fall like into the corner, like doom, doom, you know? So now my back is straight up and down, supported by the wall, and my butt is driving my spine and burst fracturing my L1 vertebrae. So I hit the ground like a sack of potatoes, and from my waist down was shut off. I was paralyzed from the waist down. Wham, just like that. So much so that my back was on fire, but everything else below it, I just couldn't feel. And when you crash, like if you fall off the roof and you land on your butt and your butt doesn't hurt, I'm like, oh man, I'm in trouble.
You've fallen a lot in your career at this point, right? Like, I know you're a professional, and but that's part of it, right? Like, you guys do fall, and you do, and so like this is, this one's bad.
Oh yeah, this one's bad. So burst fracture is if you take a donut, put it on the table, and then you smash it, and it cracks all the way around, like flattens the donut. That's what happened with my spinal cord. That's what happened to my vertebrae. So it pinched, like pressured, dinged my spinal cord, but it didn't shear.
It didn't cut it, right?
Yeah.
Didn't sever it, thank God.
It was like wham. It hit it and just shut it right down. So now I'm loaded up in the gurney into the back of the ambulance. My buddy Cam McCall jumps in with me and goes to the hospital, and I leave all my friends from the event who just watched me get paralyzed and go to the hospital. And by the time I showed up to the hospital, I was all strapped down, so I didn't know what I was feeling or what I wasn't, but I could start doing circles with my ankles.
In the hospital?
Yeah. So as we're getting to the hospital, I'm like moving and circling my feet. And, I had a breakdown there with my buddy Cam because I was like, wow, it's like I can move my feet again. Like I couldn't do this 10 minutes ago. So...
Good or bad, like breakdown there, where you're like just like thankful that you could, or were you just like, fuck, this is really bad because I could, I couldn't, and now I
can. It was good. It was good because I couldn't move my legs before, so it was really good. But it was just an emotional ride. I mean, as an athlete, having an injury like that, I never thought it was coming back. Like, not for a second. It wasn't like maybe this will come back. I was like, I just fucked myself. Like I'm screwed.
Yeah, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Or half of me's done at least.
Yeah, half of me's done. To do what I need to do, I know what I do on my bike. I'm done here.
Done.
I'm not going to get another 15 years or whatever you ended up getting.
No,
13.
I might not ever walk again. Like
right. That's what you're exactly. That's what you're thinking in your head.
That's where I'm at. So now I'm in England. I go into my room, which is a room shared with 12 people and with cloth dividers, and you can hear them. You can hear their pain. You can smell their poop. It's a whole thing. And then I was there flat on the bed with no pillow because my spine was unstable. So don't move. Lay flat on your back. I was there for 10 days. I got surgery on that 10th day where they put rods in my back. And these are big screws and titanium rods, and they bolt them all together. I actually and I got them out 7 years later. And these are what they look like.
Oh my gosh, guys, he brought them in.
Right.
Can I touch?
Yeah.
Oh my
For the
goodness,
listeners who
guys.
aren't watching on YouTube, he literally just pulled out of his pocket the rods and screws that were in his back and controlling his spine.
Yeah.
We're also showing a picture of the staples that he had in that injury. And
yeah, it speaks volumes of what, when you look at that screwed into your back. So, all right, we're looking at the photo here. Of course, that top incision was where the rods went. That bottom incision is where they take bone out of your hip, and they use all the bone chips and they put it around that L1 so that the bone eventually all grows together. And now that those are gone, I still have 3 vertebrae that are fused. They're fused with bone, no longer with hardware.
so that's why they do that with the bone. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So they put like a cage of all those bone chips, and then it all heals together as like a big bone blob.
Surgery is incredible, and sometimes what we're able to do. Sometimes I think we're like cut happy because we're able to do shit like this, because we figured out like, oh my god, we can take bone from somebody's hip and put that back in their spine, and that can help them heal. Yep. Like the technology that exists within us is incredible. But I can't. I'm so flabbergasted by this, man. That you brought this in is incredible, because this is something as like, I'm a pharmacist. I have a medical, and but like we don't get exposure to this type of stuff. I'm not like, unless I actually like wanted to learn about it and watched a YouTube video and actually went and talked to a surgeon and spent some time with them about, okay, what happens with an L1 fracture, L1, but what it was a burst fracture
L1,
in the L1. But just to have this, so how long was this in your body for?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, I had no clue it could come out. The doctor in England was like, "Don't do this again, because you can't do this again. Don't ever fall like this again." I'm like, "Trust me, I'm never gonna fall like this again. Like, that is not in the cards anymore." And then he said it's spine surgery to get it out. Like, it's a serious spine surgery. So we can fast forward 7 years later. There is a neurosurgeon with a Red Bull business card. He does work with Red Bull athletes in LA. And I got a meeting with him, and he was like, "Hey, wait, I can take this out for you, and it'll relieve 90% of your back pain." And I'm like, "I know it will, because I can feel it. It's a knife stuck in my back, and I can feel the blade whenever I move. You can feel it. It's hard to miss. Hard to miss having that screwed into your spine." So I finished out my season, and then I did another piece for Red Bull where I went there and got my rods taken out. So the idea was I was going to throw that bag of bolts off the Santa Monica Pier the second I got them out of my back. But I had to sit down and put them together first. And once I put them all together and, got to hold it in my hand, I was like, well, I'm not chucking this in the ocean. I'm holding on to this.
This isn't going anywhere.
No, because it really tells a
Not to be
story.
the weirdo in the room, but I saved my wisdom teeth. They let you keep them, so I did. Yeah, that's a fact you guys now have.
I love it. Yeah, the wisdom teeth. It's a little not to go after you, Jacob. It's a little less severe surgery.
Not only less severe, a lot weirder. A lot weirder if we're really thinking about it. Don't need to save those teeth. I am an adult, but whatever.
And no one wants to hold them like this. Like, everybody's like, "Let me see that."
Yo, let me see those teeth. Yo,
you're never like, "Let me see that wisdom."
Yeah, no one's asked to see my teeth.
No, man. But the guys, like, you were riding for those 7 years, right? Like, so
yes.
you took some time off, like, because maybe at first you thought, I'm never going to ride again, or were you just like, hey, I need to get back at it?
So I really didn't know. And that was a weird time, because when I went home, my wife and I were like, this is crazy. Like, I broke over 25 bones, and, I'm getting awesome, getting hurt, getting better, getting awesome, getting hurt, getting better. And it's like, my femur was right before this, and now my back, and I'm like, I am like almost killed myself right there. So we took the time off, and I have a kid now. So, you know, I had my daughter, and then 3 years later I had a son. So I got 2 kids, which is, you know, another game changer in life. But it took a back smashing for me to realize, like, there is more to life than me trying to push myself so hard that I'm going to kill myself at this point. So, so it was a pivotal time in my life. Also, it was a time that I realized that I lost my superpower. I'm no longer better than everybody. I can't jump over this table like I used to. I can still get up onto it barely, but it's not pretty. I don't have the same snap, the same power, the same confidence. I can't fall like I did either. Like, there's so many things, and I've got a knife hanging out of my back because I can feel those rods in my back. So chronic back pain, led me into trying to figure out how am I going to make this work from now on? And it actually worked out in my favor because I went from riding slope style and doing tricks that no one does to now riding mountains on a mountain bike that everybody sells. So now I'm a little bit more valuable because I've got my name. People like watching me because I'm creative and stuff like that. I can't quite do the same ballsy maneuvers that I was doing before, but I'm still creative. I still have style and still have that name. And now I've got a GoPro on my head. So let me take you guys along for the ride and show you what we're riding, or show you an exposed ridge or a tunnel in Mexico that I rode, or, whatever, just like trying to ride all the most craziest stuff. And it just changed my riding style, and social media and GoPro changed my value as an athlete. It went from like, I need to produce today at this event so that I can make more money, so that I can get that contract next year. And now it's like, I just need to have these cameras on and the lens is clean, and this is going to be sick. Like, I'm going to wait for that sun. We're going to do this shot in 3 more hours when the sun's right, and we're going to kill it. And I already rode it 3 times, so I'm good to go. So now let's make sure everything's in the right spot and go get this done and produce content. And that was where I've been the last, over a decade now.
Yeah, so what you're showing us earlier, he couldn't get over the table. He could just get up on the cabin that they built. Yeah. So he still had it, man.
I still had it. I did, but I didn't have the superpower
that
to
you had
where
before.
I really, really felt so connected to the bike that
you guys were one.
I did. I really felt, and then after, I really struggled mentally with the things that I would screw up when I was riding. Like, if I did like that stall on top of that cabin, if I didn't get that first time, second time, third time, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, I got that all day.
Right. I've been doing this.
In my head, I got that
I was
all
15
day.
years old, right? Like, and it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, it's so formative in you. Like, a lot of people start their careers a little bit later than that. Like, they go to college and then they figure out what they like to do. And then 23, 24, and then maybe 27, they really start to get passionate about something and go into it. Like, with what you did, you were, it's so formative. And I can't even imagine the type of connection that you had and the relationship that you had with your host, and how challenging that must have been for the mental health. Going from that, having that superpower. You've literally said it, having a superpower, and then having kind of feel like it being taken away from you. However, I am seeing you tell me this story now and seeing it as a person who morphed that, took that superpower and then converted it and figured out a new way to use it. But I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's really when my love for THC kicked in.
Okay.
Dude, that is like taking a puff on a joint is like getting into the hot tub. It's just like, oh my gosh. And that was better than anything over the counter or even the shit that I was getting sent home with from my doctor to manage the pain, to mitigate all of it. Still didn't touch marijuana and what it did to relax my body, you know? And that was even before, like, I didn't have tinctures or creams or edibles or something like that to kind of just settle in. So it was smoking, and now I got little kids, and it's like, it's tough to do. It's not that socially acceptable. It is way more now.
But still not 100%. You're still the guy who smells like weed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and it's like, if I was playing it by the rules of the doctors, I'd be on some serious shit, and I'd probably be dependent on it, you know, and that's a tough one. So, yeah, I've got a rod in my femur from that break, and then this in my back. The rod for my femur, I'm fine with. I don't even feel it right now. It's totally fine. My back is sore right now, but it's just, it's how it goes. You don't do the things that I have done and not come out of it with some sort of scars, you know? So, and then you grow older, and, you know, I've got arthritis in my wrist. I've got this bump now. It's like a cyst, arthritic thing in my wrist. So, yeah, it's been something that as an athlete, I hadn't gone down that road. Like, as a racer, I wasn't smoking weed. I smoked weed a couple times in high school, and that was only with drinking and everything else. And weed is so different. Like, everybody that smokes, and they're like, oh, it's way too crazy. I'm like, did you drink and smoke, or did you just smoke? No, I was fucked up before, and then I smoked. And you're like, well, you got to do just the one and just see how it feels. And it's been something that has helped tremendously with my back pain, with the surgery, with having your spine fused, and on top of all the aches and pains, on top of all that, you know. Mm-hmm. So definitely gone a long way, and I love the fact that there's so many ways now to get it, like through your products, like a honey or something like that. I could put that in tea, and then I'm having a tea in the morning, and
yeah,
perfect, man. You know, like that's really nice. It's cleaner, and it gets you to that spot where you want to be. You want to just be a little bit more comfortable without disturbing anyone else's life, smelling like smoke or whatever. Like, as an athlete, I mean, I came from racing. I'm not trying to smoke, but marijuana is big in the bike industry. Like, that's a big one. Like, it's all over the place.
Oh,
so,
I bet.
Yeah.
You know, the mountain biking community, like, you know, with you know, a lot of people will use it for focus and not just pain management, and use it to be creative. And like what you guys are doing, there's such a, no, let me ask, did you find that once you started to smoke? Did you find creativity in the process and in the, you know, and they're saying you're sitting there, you're nice and relaxed, and now you say, oh, wow, tomorrow I think that maybe I'll do this off the ridge line and put the camera here, and maybe we can have, you know, Matt stand over there and film me this way. And it's a pretty magical thing. And for you to say that, I like really appreciate your opinion. I appreciate your perspective and your honesty about it. And I think that people like you are actually some of the people that helped bring cannabis into the more mainstream, was people who had serious back pain. And they realized that, well, this is like, 'cause back pain is it's your spine, and it's such a pain that exists with you. Like you just said, it exists with you every second. And people who don't have it, they can't fathom how much it affects their life, and how much it negatively affects their life. And that's why, like, opiates are such an easy thing for people to take advantage of, because it does make you feel a little bit more comfortable temporarily. And they become so, I need that feeling. Like, it makes me be able to do anything, to be a human being. Of course I want to feel that way. And then they, you know, those are getting into your, you know, your brain and making, you know, a lot of addictive habits, and, you know, killing people. And then you had this plant, cannabis, that literally, you know, does the same thing in terms of comfort, doesn't have the negative effects of you know, of addiction, doesn't have the negative effects of you ruining, you know, your life and someone else's life. And yeah, that's why I found out that I found out that cannabis helped me too. And I said, oh wow. And the edibles were, I was like, but I don't always want to smoke. I don't always want to have to smoke. I do still like to smoke sometimes, and it is a way I consume sometimes for sure, but it's not something that I always want to have to rely on. And so like that edibles became a thing, that tinctures became a thing, and not became a thing, they've always been a thing, but now that we have access to them because it's not illegal and people aren't going to be prosecuted for it, it's really such a magical, you know, not even magical, it's just such a real thing that we should be using because it produces desired outcomes that we as human beings want.
You know what's funny too is like, this is just being on this pod, this is like the first time I really have like outed myself as a user of anything, because the companies that have supported me in the past are, you know, whether they're afraid of it or, you know, the owner's got 2 15-year-old boys and doesn't want any of that in his business or you know what I mean? It's just whatever it is.
The number one reason being that it's federally illegal, and that they might not be able to get insurance because they sponsor this. And this, you know, one of their athletes is talking about cannabis, and they're putting out, you know, they produced a video and you said cannabis in it, that you're using it and stuff like that. There's so much to worry about because of because of the stigmatization that they created. They created all of this to make it, but it does exist. It is a real thing that we're having to get through.
Yeah, and it definitely helps a ton of people that are in that same, I don't know, mire. Like if you really bust yourself up, I mean, chronic pain is no joke. It means that it never goes away. That means at night, in the morning, when you're doing something or when you're not doing anything, it's always there. And to try to find something that relieves that, like I said, it's like a hot tub or something. Like I'd get in the hot tub and go, oh gosh, now I can finally move. It'd be the same thing as if I took 2 puffs. I'd be like, oh, my goodness, I'm feeling so much better already. And anyway, it was just another thing, another line on the long road, you know.
You have to tell this story, Aaron. You have to. This is an important one, I think. Yeah, for you to tell people, and I really appreciate your honesty with me right now and saying, you know, you outed yourself as a user of this. Like this is the story to tell. You know, there's so much value in that to people to say, hey man, I was this person who couldn't even talk about it. I couldn't even talk about it until I had to, you know, get away from these sponsors. My relationship with these sponsors ended, or you know, evolved, you know, to retirement because I'm not going to be doing that anymore. And the next phase of what you could bring to this world, man, is like you are an incredible content producer. You have incredible creativity, and they're telling your story about cannabis and how much it, like just that alone, that people can understand that, hey man, I was the you know, the highest of high athletes, you know, producing at the highest level, doing doing stuff that everybody wants to do, you know, getting, you know, millions and millions of views, and this is how I was managing my chronic pain, and I couldn't really talk about it, but now I can. Yeah,
and I didn't even know about it. Like I didn't smoke until I was 30, you know, except for those couple times in high school.
Yeah.
So my whole 20s, I never touched it.
Yeah,
at all.
And that I think that makes it even better. That you know, it puts even more validity to the story, because it's like, okay, you didn't touch it. It was somewhere you were, just weren't about it, because of course that wasn't but the racing community was about it, so you were around it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So you were just active. In did you drink a lot of alcohol? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially in my 20s, it was like, you know, it was like show up to, you know, you're in Germany, you're out to dinner. Yeah, let's do some beers. Yeah. And then, you know, cool it down over the next few days, and then immediately you're in the bar going hard right after the event. Yeah. And now I'm sitting on the plane like hungover, and just suffering.
Just poison, right?
For me, it's poison. I'm sitting there going, I did it again. Why did I do it? I got a headache, and there's nothing you can do to shake it and everything else. So yeah, it's, you know, also Germany, you can't even, still, it's hard to get weed over there. Like,
right. Yeah. Something that might help with the hangover. Might help you feel a little bit more more comfortable. Maybe make that plane ride a little bit back. You know,
you can blast beers all day. You can get them. You can get beers at McDonald's in the morning. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing! You get beers in the morning. Oh, imagine that pull up drive-through.
I guess I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know, but they sell beer at McDonald's.
They sell beer at McDonald's. What a culture, you know? Like, that's what I'm saying.
It's just different there than it is here, and you know, weed's the boogeyman over there still. So
yeah, a lot of those European countries, weed is still the boogeyman, and it's funny. It's like these guys, even in Amsterdam, like even in in the Netherlands where it's legal, in that certain jurisdiction. The way that it's legal, the way that it has been legal forever, was like you were only able to make this, certain hashish, and you were only able to make the, to serve it in a very certain way, and it had to be, not concentrated THC. It's like in America, we, once we legalized it and got markets legalized, we have surpassed their technology and everything that they do.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, they're not like serving up like honey edibles and all this stuff over in Amsterdam. At least I've never actually been there, but this is from my understanding and I think it is opening up and it is getting a little bit better. Yeah. But they have like, you can only have like these certain type of edibles. Exactly. Like, and it has to be, and it's so regulated from like a science standpoint, being in from, the testing, that is good for sure. But it's over-regulation is a problem because it's a plant and we should be able to get people, if it's helping people with their back pain, there's a lot of Germans out there probably struggling from, working on the Autobahn, so maybe give some hard labor. So give them some cannabis, or professional athletes. Like it drives people to drink is what it does. It drives people to drink and it drives people to opiates, which are a horrible.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's so scary. And now with fentanyl being on everything, it's more reason to just let this be legal so everybody can get it safely. So a kid doesn't have to die because something's coming over from who knows where, and
it's brutal.
It's dirty. And weed is like the cleanest. Like everybody that's into weed is like, I grew it homegrown. It's this, or I did that, and I talked to my plant. Like it's like a pure thing. Like people love it, but no one's trying to like dust it off with something else. And it's always supposed to be like the clean. It just seems like that to me. Like the true lovers,
and that's
pure.
The true lovers of it, and I think that is like even. Capitalism is absolutely happening, and the commercialization of the product is happening, and there are some people who just are in it for the money. The people I was thinking like, okay, maybe this will change, and I haven't been in the industry forever, but since I've seen it, evolve, it's been like, wow, these people. I thought maybe they would get pushed out. But a lot of the people who are passionate about it, they were able to switch from just being passionate about it to then becoming really good business owners at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then they were able to start these businesses, and now some of them are big players with big control, and I hope it stays that way. It could change if some of the which will be a good thing when the money opens up and it becomes more federally legal and there's more room for investment to come in. That will be a good thing, but it also could create a situation where it's more it's even more regulated. But I think that we'll always fight back. The people who that care about the plant, the people who want the plant to be, the people who are telling your story, people who resonate with your story, they're always going to be talking about it. And people will always be getting their cannabis this way, I think.
People love talking about it and hearing about it too. Like I listened to Howard Stern, back in the day, and they would, bring out one of the guys and they're like, we're bringing out his weed dealer. All right, let's talk to him about what he, and it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that people love hearing about, and whether they're in that world or not, they can kind of gauge their comfort. But it's one of those things that's always there, kind of lurking right around the corner. You can kind of smell it in the air, but you don't know where it's coming from. It's like it's always kind of around, but it's a little quiet, and it's making a big splash now. I mean, I remember the first time going into a dispensary in Colorado. And just being like, wow, a bud tender? Pfft. Right. Like, of course,
Yeah,
And then, seeing it go. But, we're sitting here in one of those, in a little slab of land surrounded by legalization, and New Hampshire's still not quite there. It's just funny. That's all. It's just funny.
And you are a New Hampshire medical card holder.
Yes.
And you like to get your cannabis this way.
I don't mind. I mean, I try to buy a bunch when I'm there and make it worth my time. But I really do like the idea, or I like knowing that it came from a safe place. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm very nervous to smoke somebody else's stuff or anything like that. It's just nice to know that it's fucked up to know that there is some tainted stuff getting passed around out there. So why even, can you imagine, like, so I heard somebody got brain dead off of, some kid got, real messed up from smoking, and you're like, ugh, and people are putting fentanyl in. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's a poisoning of the young people in the United States in all these ways, and it's just, anyway.
They're ruining it for the small select people. Like, maybe I literally think it's like 1% of people who are doing this, who are like using shitty pesticides and shitty chemicals to grow their weed, or then they're putting stuff on it, or there's like these, there's all types of, they're taking hemp and then they're spraying it with distillate, or there's all these ways, or some type of, if there's any type of opiate or any type of being somehow put into the weed, if it's a vape. I've heard some of this stuff. I haven't seen it exactly. I haven't looked into it enough to be able to educated enough to say, that's even possible, that fentanyl can be in a vape. I would need to look in the pharmacology of that. But I know that fentanyl is a huge problem, and that people are giving people shitty weed, and but it's 1% of the people. Most of these good growers, they're doing the right thing. They're testing their products. Yeah. And we have the ability to test products, and you're getting a good solid product. But it's just like the few people who ruin it for everybody. And then that's the stuff that makes the news too, right? Like, oh, this happened because there's still people who have like interest against cannabis, who don't want cannabis to be legal. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, and but I do truly believe that soon it will present itself that will be either federally legal, or we have stipulations in place where everybody's getting safe cannabis. That 1% of the people are kind of getting rooted out somehow. We're rooting them out. We're kind of like in the figuring that out right now.
I also like being on the legal side. I mean, my daughter's 15 now. Like, you can be like, hey, I get this from a doctor. It's not like, oh, I get this from my buddy, Bobby down the road. Like, there's just a different stigma.
I know there's a different stigma with it, and it may just be a stigma, and we understand that. But then, like, the hope is that someone like Bobby, who is into the plant, ends up becoming the doctor, and ends up and then incorporating that both into his practice. And if Bobby is not just a guy who's just dealing but he's a person who's growing and cares. Like, I'm not talking about just regular, cannabis dealers who are just doing it on the black market to make money. But I know a lot of people who are still in that gray market, who they are the growers, and they know exactly their plants. They treat their plants like absolute the best, even better than some of the bigger operations that I've seen. And so those people, you can't not, those people aren't untrustworthy. I don't want to say, because sometimes that cannabis is better than the stuff that's being sold at the stores. And safer than stuff that's being sold at stores. But I agree, the stigma of it, and what we're telling our kids and how we're going about it is, hopefully in the future it is all legal. And by the time that she's a 30, 25-year-old person, or anybody who wants a 20-year-old person, somebody who wants to consider engaging in cannabis or whatever, we know it's completely safe. And it's done in a way that it's not stigmatized, and it's not, you are going to see a doctor and you are having it, especially if you're using it from a medicine. Like, you should be tracked. You should be, not tracked, but you should be, have follow-ups with your doctor. Hey, I've smoked this strain and this happened, or I did this and this happened. And figuring out that with a doctor, with a healthcare professional is like definitely a route we should be heading in.
I just flew to Utah, but through Vegas, and went to Planet 13, which is a mall. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a mall that the dispensary bought and turned into a weed mall.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge parking lot, and you walk in to a huge grand opening, and there's like a retail store with clothing and all, and there's a head shop, and then there's they're making all the edibles at this like chocolate factory. There's a cafe, and you go into the cafe, and then there's the weed store, and it's like a mall.
Wow.
Yeah.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is it near the? So you were in Las Vegas, so is it near the airport? Or
Yeah,
were
it's
you
right by the stratosphere. It's stratosphere.
Stratosphere? I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like right at the end of the strip or whatever.
Yeah. Wow, that's
ridiculous.
Planet 13. It's called.
Yeah.
Man, it's wild what all these different and it is different state to state. Like in different in different places. Like you can do different things. Like I wonder they're making the edibles in front of people. Like in some states that probably wouldn't be allowed.
Right.
Or maybe they're like they're at the cafe. Like in some states soon they'll be able to do social consumption there. At those.
They do there.
Oh, so that cafe is social consumption.
Yep.
So Las Vegas is social consumption.
At that place it is.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go in and you can try the edibles.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Well, Vegas has different zoning rules as well. Like you can take drinks outside in certain streets. You can they base it on casino money more than what's legal and fair.
Yeah. No, I remember when I was a kid, like going out there and getting to, that was a novelty, because I'd never been to New Orleans,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can do it too. But I was like, me and my buddy, we did like a race out, not a bike race, but like a running race. And then we were going with like these big drinks and we're just walking down the street.
Yeah.
It's like Vegas is cool. Vegas is a wild place, but probably a cool place and a good experience for people.
Great with dispensaries now. Like that's pretty slick.
That is slick,
because
man.
I think then you don't have to drink so much too. You're probably not so wrecked.
Dude, you're not wrecked, you're not just jacked up. Like that's the biggest thing with cannabis. Like at first I wasn't necessarily always like saying this, but like if cannabis can replace drinking in your life, that's a giddy up.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like 100%. Do it tomorrow. Do it today.
Yeah.
Like replace it. Like and if it's a 1-to-1 substitute, you want to like people. It's funny that it is a tough change because people use drinking for like the social aspect of it, and it helps people. And cannabis doesn't always. Cannabis can do that. It can be helpful. The right strains and you can once you get comfortable with it and you have a relationship with it, 100%. But if you're, a lot of people who are going to smoke weed, to replace it for drinking for the first time, they're going to get caught up in the the social anxiety of it. Like you're gonna be like, I'm being weird. I don't want to be around people,
Yeah.
So it's like, do you just use it for pain, or do you will you use it to go out and like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would use it so if if I'm building my buzz, it's like 2 puffs and a beer. Like that's perfect. And then it sets you just right into a social spot. You're a little high, you're a little having fun, you got a beer in your hand, but you don't need to drink 6 of them at all. You just don't. And and you're cruising, whether you're watching a fight on TV or you're hanging out with your buddies or whatever. It's a nice way to relax. It makes your body feel the way that you want it to feel. And I'm not holding onto the walls on the, walking to the bathroom like, whoa, what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you mature out of that pretty quick, I think,
Yeah.
of wanting to be like that trashed or anything like that.
Most people, I think, mature out of that. There's 5 or 10% that's left behind, but I agree. Yeah, most people mature out of that. That's like a kid thing. Once your brain develops a little bit more, you're like, oh, why was I doing that? Why would I ever? Like, I matured out of that like super quickly. Like I drank up until I was probably like 20, 24, 25 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I just like, but I was never the guy. Like I could always drive. Like I shouldn't have been, but like I was capable of it. And like I was never like maybe twice in my life like that I get blacked out where I needed someone else to like bring me to make sure that I made it home safely, or to make sure maybe that's 5 times, not 2 times, but like mostly I was in control of that. And then I figured out later on, like, I never even liked to drink. And I figured out that's what it is for a lot of people, is it's just habit. It's just habit. It's just you saw someone else doing it. It's a social thing. It's you tried it once, and then
pass me one too. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Exactly. It's like we definitely put that on each other. You're like, when you're a kid, you're not going to drink. You have to be like you have to have a good foundation from your parents if you're going to be a kid who says I'm not going to drink, or you have to have like a super trauma filled situation back home where your parents are all fucked up all the time, and you as a kid need to make that decision that I'm not going to drink. And then some of those kids even get caught up in it later.
And as a kid, if you're not going to drink, that is a negative. That's viewed negatively by the masses of kids because you're like, dude, come on, you're one of us. Let's go. Like,
yeah, it's viewed negatively.
Yeah.
You know, with my son now, and like, you know, your daughter's 15. Like, that's the time.
I know.
You know, I had my first beer. You know, I think at 13. You know.
Yeah.
You know, 12, 13 or whatever, and so she's right there. You know, so like, how are you managing that?
Well, she's such a
okay. You know,
no, it's all good. She's such a good rule follower. I'm not managing anything right now. She goes to a private school and she lives in a small bubble, especially since COVID. We put both of the kids in a small private school. My son is back in public school, but my daughter's still in private school. So her class is like 10 kids. Like it's not. They're all like really good kids. So so far so good and everything else, but you know.
The situation definitely matters, like who you're around. You know, I just think like me and my friends we were hooligans, like we're just looking for excuses to get, you know, to drink and like drink. We were wild, man. Like I was in high school drinking on, you know, Monday night, Tuesday night, you know, every basketball game, you know. It was like, what, are you 10th grade? You know, it was just excessive because I saw my older brothers being that way and just like, what are we doing here? You know,
well,
like,
and everybody's having more fun, and it's like every Friday night, that's what you do, and then
it's the variation
cranks it up. But I heard that alcohol sales or consumption, I should think I don't know if I heard this right, but alcohol consumption for minors is like at an all-time low.
Oh, giddy up!
I think I might have.
There's a lot going on right now with the minors, and they're like making good, or at least from what I see, a lot of them are seeing like, you know, there's a lot of trauma in the world right now. So I think that they're trying as a generation to like make better decisions, and like as a whole, you know,
just about everything across the board is down. The only thing that saw a spike recently is nicotine, but that's because not only do they have flavor pods now that taste like pina colada, but they have tobaccoless, so you can get like these, like, you know how they used to do like dip. Well, now you can just get little pouches that just have nicotine, and they're flavored like mint or strawberry. And so it tastes like candy, and you get the buzz of the milligrams of nicotine. So that's bringing that back into the forefront. But otherwise, consumption of cigarettes is down, alcohol is down. Most of that stuff it's just this one little nicotine niche.
Those are dangerous, those little packets.
Yeah, I've heard. I haven't myself. I'm not.
Well, I mean, you start sucking on them, and then you got sores and...
it's just gross. It's like such a new thing, you know. It's like what I mean, I used to smoke cigarettes, you know, in college and like when I was in it, you know. It's like, but it's just so gnarly to me now, and like I couldn't even like think about smoking a cigarette,
like
you know?
Whole cigarette,
like a whole cigarette, and like I like a joint, you know. I like cannabis, you know, but I don't even like. Some of my buddies smoke spliffs, and I'm just like, I don't even. I'm good with the spliff, you know. And a spliff is for the non-cannabis listeners. A spliff is a joint rolled up with tobacco. They're rolled up together, and so like no thanks, you know. I'm good with tobacco. I don't even drink much caffeine anymore. You know, I'm kind of off of that too.
Yep.
You know, I drank a lot of that for a while.
Look at you growing up.
Growing up, exactly.
Like,
growing
I don't
up.
even need a coffee.
Yeah. No. Well, that, you know, maybe and I only got the one kid, and he's young. You know, we'll see when I have the two, and when
it'll happen.
The coffee will probably come back.
Yeah.
And I won't judge myself for it. You know.
No, you're all right.
Coffee's
good.
Coffee's okay. Yeah. Exactly. Coffee's okay. It's definitely proven. Even in some cases, it's like proven to be good for people long term. Like it's for the personality. You know, you hear me now, like. You think I needed any coffee this morning, dude? You know, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to giddy up. You know, like so. It's like sometimes I like cappuccino in like the afternoon to help me focus or to help me kind of get through the rest of the day. Not too late.
Yeah.
What's the next step? So you're because you know with biking you're gonna you're moving away from doing the the content creation about that.
Yep.
You're still going to be involved in the bike community because that will never go away.
Well, that's what I thought. I definitely thought I would always have a spot in the bike community, in the industry, doing something. The bike industry right now is a little hurting. It's a little slow because COVID, everybody bought bikes, and then they couldn't get all the supplies stacked up enough. And then once that caught up, now there's an overstock, and now you're blowing stuff out, and you can't even sell your used bike for half of what you bought it for 2 years ago. It's just the world, right? It's like every
Especially
time
that
you
industry.
turn around, you're like, oh, great. Now now this happened, now that happened. And as a sponsored rider, you're like, I mean, you're a part of somebody's marketing budgets, but you're the first person to get chopped off, like if push comes to shove, it's the athlete that's gone, not the one that's working, and you'll get the word out in a different way, and that's how it goes. So I'm 45 now. COVID hit. I was 42. I'm kind of like, how much longer am I doing this for anyway? So, at that time, my wife's real estate company was really going through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a lot more of like supporting my family on the back end and being home, because I'm always gone.
Yeah.
So that was good, but now I'm going through a divorce, which also happens.
It happens. It's life.
Yeah, it is. And divorcing my prom date. I've been with her forever. So
Yeah, man.
So it's all good. It gives you a new, a new lease on life or whatever. But right now I'm sort of in a bit of limbo between two careers. So my professional riding career is over. I'm done with it. I got gray hairs poking out of the side here. It's over. It's good. I did it really a long time. And I'm very proud of what I've done in the industry, and I've got a mountain of contacts and experience from it. So how do I translate that into do re mi? And the project I'm working on now could be something that sets me up for the rest of my life. And that's a big one. But it's with a team of guys that are developing a town in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. And we're just waiting on written permission from the state of Tennessee to get the funding and TIFs, bonds, and incentives to get this all off the ground. So I'll be a part owner in a company that's building a town in Tennessee, and my job would be to create the bike park. So that could be a real legacy piece right there,
It's a legacy piece, man.
Yeah.
And two, I know that like from the research I did on you are, that's one of your passions is building bike parks and creating these spaces for people, so that they can have this, if they have the ability, if they want to go enjoy themselves, yes, that's what giddy up. But if someone has this ability, you can give them this space where they can go and hone that craft. Mm-hmm. And building those out and having your expertise and your knowledge. And I was just reading that it's something that you did up around here. You did up around New Hampshire, and you helped the local towns around here build up their bike parks. Mm-hmm. And now to see that you're, that's a cool project, man.
Yeah.
So you guys are starting a town, so that's kind of cool that's still happening. That towns are still being, we always talk in this country, we feel like every single space is already, all the towns exist, right? That's what people think. Or, I think that's what the general consensus is. What would you say, Jacob? You think all towns are built?
I think some happen organically, but I think you have to build them. I mean, you can't.
No, for sure. But did you think that in 2023 towns were still being built in the United States?
I mean, I don't. That's a weird question to me because I don't think about how.
Right, exactly.
That's
it's
one of those things where it wouldn't cross my mind unless we were talking about it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
I think you're like most people. Most people don't think towns are being.
I don't see them springing up like they used to, like in the '80s with those like cul-de-sac communities and stuff like that. Like that I don't think is happening. But maybe I don't know. I have no idea. That's where I'm at with that. I have no idea.
So I'll tell you, it's that Bible Belt area is ripe for
redevelopment.
Development. Yeah, developing.
Yeah. There's not much out there right now.
There isn't, and then geographically it's in a good spot, and then also this town that I'm talking about, it's about 800 people there right now. So we were talking about building a bike park, building a village coming up to that, utilizing the river for whitewater rafting and sport fishing and farm to table and family and clean energy and
Now, would you be
all
looking
that.
to get to create more than the 800 people? Like how
Yeah.
big is? Okay, so we're gonna look to juice it up a little bit. It's not
Yeah.
just like trying to create a community with this 800 people. It's like we're building this out. This is the foundation. We already have a foundation of these 800 people in this place who are doing whatever job they're doing, and there is some type of economy there. You told me.
Yeah.
There's the whitewater rafting.
Well, there's mountains and rivers.
Okay.
So you've got some serious assets there, an interstate running through and everything else. So it's all plugged in.
Okay.
And we're talking about something that's going to be pretty high level. One of the guys on the team built Atlantis in the Bahamas.
Okay.
So the stuff from the ground up where there's a lot of underground parking. There's a lot of like stuff that's out of view from the other, it's built with a purpose from the ground up.
Yeah, and that's it's amazing that you're connected with these guys
Yeah.
and that you like everyone has their job to do. Do you guys need like a podcast host?
Yes.
Okay, giddy up. Can I can be that. I can be the podcast
Dude,
host.
Tennessee's not too bad, especially this time of year.
Man, I am open to it. I am open to being wherever. I like where I'm at now. I like the seacoast of of New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts. I like this area, the Northeast. But I am not sold to be here forever. I'd like to have more experience and to live in different places and to see what type of impact that place has on me, what type of impact I can have on that place. And like that's fascinating to me because I've never heard anyone tell me, hey, we're going out to build a town, and we're trying to do. I've seen people build communities, and that's like what you're talking about is this is a small scale. This is a couple of buildings, and to do it at scale like there's a lot of power in that. And I think it's really cool.
So, and the other reason that it's able to go down is is because the lack of building restrictions. There's no restrictions on this land. So you can do anything that you want once you acquire it all. But it also needs to go through an approval process to get the bonds and incentives from the state. So it
that's
needs
how it
written
works.
permission. Well, that is what gets the ball rolling, and it's such a big one to get rolling. But the federal incentives, once you acquire that, then you've got so much skin in the game that the investors it's not a problem to invest off of something that already has $500 million invested into it. Now
So
you're like,
that's where the TIF like a TIF is a tax increment financing.
Yeah.
That's what it stands for, and so that means that you would take money from future tax money from people who are say like, hey, we're going to build this. Do you want to move here? But it's going to cost you this up front. Was that how it works? Is that how
more
you
or
do it?
less. I'm not exactly sure, but
Okay.
yeah,
Or maybe you're taking it from through the
it's like
government
a
and the
loan,
program.
and that gets paid back
Yeah.
through taxes.
Yeah, okay, and the government's the one who's giving the loan because they're saying we know that you guys are going to build this community and we're going to get this tax back and we need someone to go out there and invest in this and build this community, so that's why we'll do it.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's cool. That's really ambitious, and that sounds like something that I just am like really interested in and would love to stay connected with you on it because like in any way that I can help, but just like just from also like an interested standpoint because like this is what we need. We need people to go out there as long as there's no like displacement happening and we're not like there's no like colonizing where there's people who are maybe like living on this land like these 800 people don't want this to happen and they likely do. There's always some pushback. Of course, change is hard, but like hey, this is going to make everything better. And how do the 800 people feel? Do you know?
Well, okay, so probably the majority of the 800 people in that town probably aren't landowners.
Okay.
But people that are renting, or maybe even people that are squatting, because this is like in the woods.
Yeah.
So, but there are also people that aren't paying taxes, and anybody that's going to be selling their property or keeping it, it's going to go up in value very, very much. So you're going to get a premium for your spot anyway. So you're going to sell grandpa's old farmhouse or trailer or whatever, and there's just not that much there anyway. It's not like
you're not taking a ton from where it is, and like
No.
there'll likely be some things that are created where if these people do want to start becoming tax-paying citizens or whatever, they'll be able to do that because there'll be jobs provided through the economy, and it's not necessarily like you're not taking away someone's way of life by doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and everything that's being bought and sold is pretty high, like high market. So you're gonna get your money's worth if you sell now anyway. So
right. Mm-hmm. That's
but
good,
you know,
man.
I'm a biker. I'm not a developer on that sense whatsoever. But I can't wait to kind of implement my experience and my knowledge and my connections
for the bike mountain.
Yeah.
Like so so like let's talk about this. You're like we're not just talking about like, oh, this is a cool little park that you've created up here. This is a big boy that tourists are going to want to come to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, with a chairlift, probably
Yeah.
2 lifts.
Two
Yeah,
lifts.
yeah.
Okay. So you've already started to think about it. You've
Oh,
already
yeah.
started to. When do you guys? I know you're waiting on the government, and that who knows? We're still waiting on the government for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But do you have any idea of like a plan of when this is able to start taking place?
I
Like,
mean, this is 2024 for sure. Yeah.
baby. Okay.
I've been with this team for 5 years, and they've been basically just out of reach with this happening for the last 2 years. So I'm just like, hurry up. But it takes a long time. So
Yeah.
it's all
bureaucracy
good.
and red tape.
Yeah,
You
but
just get through it.
But it's actually, once it gets rolling, we'll be looking pretty good because of the lack of restrictions on the properties and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that's good. And then as a biker, I'm looking at the land, the terrain, what the dirt's like, and it's just such a sick spot. So I'm looking forward to it all. There isn't any compromise there. Like, it's steep, the dirt's got a lot of clay in it, and it's gonna be awesome. So anyway, I'm just locked and loaded, hoping to go down that road, and then also maybe even do some sort of ambassadorships with my Instagram, because that's always been something that I've done. I've done promotions or campaigns for Degree Body Spray and Lava Soap and whatever,
Yeah.
all these companies.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do that some more too. And since I don't have any more hard ties to any one company, like a larger company, I can kind of go anywhere. So I think, repping or speaking my truth, my story about THC, I might want to try to do something in that arena also, because it's just something I've never done. I've done cars and sports drinks and you name it, anything with a bike attached to it, but never anything like a personal wellness or food or anything like that. I've never been in that spot. So I do know from my story in the bike world is that it's all about telling your story and how it matches up with a product, and especially one that you use, one that you believe in, and and that's a valuable thing. So yeah, I'll be looking to pick up a little side work like that. Those are always nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I'm just still built for that because I've been doing that with GoPro for a number of years. So
Yeah, man, it sounds like you're on an amazing path here for the second or the third chapter, or whatever you would consider this. Whether racing and free riding are two separate chapters. This is the third chapter, and I think that I know that you're going to be successful in it, and I think you really should go towards that with the cannabis, because man, your story is amazing. It resonates with me. It resonates with so many people. There's the mountain biking community, the biking community, I think will appreciate that, and will keep trying to drive the stigma away from it. What you're doing with the town, building that out, I can't wait to follow that, and can't wait to stay up.
Both.
Yeah, right, exactly, man. Giddy up. That's what life's about, right? Being on it.
You absolutely have to launch. Sorry to interject, Steve. You have to do like an Instagram account of building the town. With reels and just so that everybody can watch this idea manifest would be incredible.
Yeah. So, as somebody that's going to be putting a lot of talent in those seats, I want to lean on my riding tribe, my counterparts that I competed with and that are all my age now, and that own their own trail building companies, and they have their own social media and they have their own followers, and bring those guys in to help create this at the very beginning. Because it doesn't serve me to have my brand that nobody knows about and start that up. It serves me better to pull out these legends from the sport to come down and see what Chase is up to down in Tennessee, and that's the story. But yeah, for sure, I want to dive in on all that stuff and get the stories started as soon as possible, because that's your best bet for spreading the word. And having a pro rider build his own place and have other pro riders that had their hand in making it happen too, it's gonna spread like wildfire. I can't wait.
Yeah, man, it sounds like the Mecca, and I think that it's going to be.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you to follow along on this journey?
Yeah, it's you can just check out my Instagram. It's at Aaron Chase, AARON. I unfortunately haven't been doing too much with my account these days because I'm rolling through a divorce and I'm at the end of my riding career. So my Instagram has been full of high-level riding, GoPro, everything, and now it's like, what's my story right now? And it's hard to post too much about the realness of your life when it's not in the shiny light. When you're if your realness is kind of in the darker spot right now in a transitional moment, it's hard to jump in on that. I think some people lean on that and love it, and other people like me, I'm just like, if I'm not posting like a beautiful shot of me riding my bike, I don't know if anybody else cares that I'm struggling right now, or that I'm uncertain, or that I have worries or something like that. It just, to me, it's just like,
I care.
Yeah, I know, but how do you do that on Instagram?
No, I know what you're
saying.
Take
a selfie of me and be like, well, today is good and I hope tomorrow's better, but I don't know.
No, yeah, it's not. The
tough.
story is to tell is like, and you don't always get to do it in real time. It's
right.
when you start to figure out how you're going to, you go forward.
Yes.
And then you start to tell the story, and you get to help people by saying, hey, I was struggling and I was going through this, and this is a real thing, and this is what I did to go through it. And the only way is through, and each day we just got to take these steps, these positive steps forward.
Yeah.
And like that's exactly what you're doing, and it's tough and it's hard, and but it's what I'm doing too, and it's gonna keep, if you just keep doing it and you keep, you're a pioneer, I'm a pioneer, and everything will happen for us, because if we just do the hard work and we have our visions, like you have with the mountain, like I have, potentially content creation, with what I have with with this and with the honey business. It will take place. The universe will allow it to happen. And I'm very grateful to meet you today, man, and to be here. I can't wait to follow along on the journey. And I know that you will find your story to tell in this third chapter. It's just you're right there. You're on the precipice of it, and life is giving you stuff that you're handling right now, and you're going through it, and you're gonna keep figuring it out and finding it. And I can't wait to see where you end up. I know. I just need a quick peek into the crystal ball. I just want to just peek and go, oh, I'm gonna be okay. I'm okay. All right, put it down. I'll be fine. But without that peak, it just I know, and I hear what you're saying. I appreciate it, and I agree. I'm going to land somewhere. I have come from nothing and done so much and gone all around the world, year after year after year. Like, I have soaked it up and chased life to the fullest, and it ain't over yet. And I got plenty of time left, maybe too much time. So I got to do something. You got to do something, and you are going to do something. Yeah. And I really honestly can't wait to see it. Yeah, thanks. Giddy up, brother. Well, it was awesome to have you on the show today. I will hope to have you back sometime, because to talk about what's going on in the Smoky Hills. Chapter 3, baby. Giddy up. If you guys want to reach out to Aaron, his Instagram. Definitely follow him. Definitely see what he's got going on. If you need any help from us, you know where to find us. And until next time, baby, giddy up. That's right.